Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. I apologize for ignoring you guys for so long. We have been working out here in the shop, getting stuff done. Door panels, rear sidewall panels, those are all done. And now seats. As you can see, the driver's side seat is done. We've been wanting to do this video for quite some time, but just waiting on parts. This supply chain issue it's real. It's there. I've been waiting on some of these parts since midsummer. It is now mid-September, and just now got the seat backs in. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But I did the driver's side seat because I've never done it before, and I kind of want to figure it out on my own. And it's challenging. There's some challenging parts to it, but we got it done. It's in good shape. I like it. There's not a whole lot on the internet, on YouTube. I mean, there's plenty of people out there doing bench seats and a couple of guys doing these bucket seats, but they leave out a lot of the details. So maybe I can fill in those gaps, help somebody else out, or at least show you how I did it, because hey, I had to make a lot of it up. So let's get started on the driver's side seat. I got the materials for the bench seat as well. I'll take you through that one, maybe a couple of videos. This may get lengthy, but let's get going on the driver's on the passenger side seat. All right, I'll work along here as I yap, because nobody likes. I know from a lot of comments, nobody likes just yapping and no working. And I get it, because I watch a lot of YouTube as well, and I'm the same way. I like work and not yapping, but sometimes things need to be explained, and that requires some yapping. So let's try to see if I can concentrate and do two things at one time. But these seats were not in this truck when I bought it. I bought the truck. It did not have seats, no front seats, no rear seats, really no interior to it at all. I had to source these from a guy. I mean, luckily, poking around Craigslist, back when Craigslist was still a real deal, I found a guy the next town over that had a whole mini warehouse full of these K5 seats. And he really knew his stuff. Well, he seemed like he knew his stuff. And he sold me a pair of the front buckets, I think period correct, and the rear bench, and they were in... Well, they were in shape. they were definitely needing repair, but certainly a lot better shape than I had. So I bought them, and here we are. Let me swing around here. Here's the seat covers that came off from them. I've saved the seat covers all these years because, you should. My boy wants to peel this garbage off and throw it away. So I have to fight him to keep him from throwing this stuff away. But you really kind of need it as patterns to find out where the stuff goes. Now, I've lost a lot of the, what they call the listing wires. And if I haven't physically lost it, I've lost it in my mind. I don't have the memory of taking them apart. So the point is, if you're doing your seats, don't take your old ones apart until you got the new materials in, and then do it as quick as possible so you remember how it goes back together. Save the vinyl so you can use it for an example. All right, so here's the upper seat, and here's the bottom. Now this one, these seats didn't have the scroll in it, and I think for a 71, the scroll is appropriate. That's what I replaced it with. This, I think, could even go up into the square body styles. So these seats may have come out of a square body, like a 73 or so. I'm almost certain the frame for my 85 or the seat appeared to be very similar. But anyways, that's the old vinyl. Here's one of the listing wires from the old seats. You can see how rusty it was, and tough shape. Here's the new covers. All right, I've ordered these from LMC. They let's see, the seat covers. I think the black seat covers were in when I got around to ordering them. They were not back ordered. If they were, I didn't have to wait very long for them, because I'm not real angry about the seat covers. But they obviously were made by, it says right here, PUI, and then sold by LMC to me. So they're, good. I enjoyed. I appreciate the one on the driver's side. Fit is let's say pretty good. All right, here's the cushions. Now the cushions, kind of another story. Got them from LMC as well. They are made by, stand by. All right, they're made by Dashes Direct, and believe it or not, they were made in the U.S. But I waited a long time for these to come in, several months. The impressive part about these seat cushions is it's a complicated fit on these seats, and they fit good. I mean, I'd love to see the process, how they make these seats, because the mold must be really complicated to make these seat cushions fit on these seats, and the way they have to, especially the back. So we'll get to that here in a minute, but very impressive seat foam. It feels good. I hope it holds up. I hope it doesn't, have the old wing break off from sliding in and out of the truck, like almost all vehicles do. After sliding in and out of the truck for 4 or 5 years, it starts to break down on the side. Hopefully it'll last a while. All right, now seat backs. The plastic, these plastic seat backs. I got one over here. The other one's got a partner number on it. Not that that's a big mystery. You can find that about anywhere. But all right, these these are one of the items at LMC that would allow you to order them. And even though they were out of stock, I believe it was mid-July that I put these on order. And would not come in, did not come in. I would call and say, hey, what's going on? 2 weeks, it'll be here 2 weeks. We think 2 weeks. And I even asked, hey, is there any way, after you hear that 2 or 3 times, you start to think, maybe that's just the canned answer that they're supposed to give us. So I asked the impossible, right? It shouldn't be impossible, but in today's world, I asked the impossible. Hey, any chance you can call the supplier and find out an ETA for these seat backs at a production time? Are they, are we talking 6 weeks, 6 months, or 6 years to get these? And my answer back was, no, we cannot. So I don't know why, but and these are American-made parts. The foam's American-made. These backs are American-made. I think the cushion or the covers were American-made as well. So they weren't stuck on a container ship off the coast of Long Beach. They were somewhere in the States, and nobody could call and get me an answer. So I stuck with them as long as I could, and then I just got frustrated, and I wound up ordering these from Brothers Truck out on the West Coast, and it was great. I don't like their website as well as I like LMC's, but wham bam, they were here. They were $99, so there were a few big bucks more Then LMC, which was, I think were listed, you know, out of stock for 79 bucks. So when they put them in stock, I don't know how much they would have cost, but the brothers had them for 99 bucks. And if you ordered over 100 bucks, it was free shipping. And you know the cost of shipping nowadays. So I ordered a couple leather trim pieces, got my order up over 100 bucks, and bam, free shipping. So probably, I'm certain there would have been, you know, the net cost, the total cost was going to, I'm sure was cheaper from sending them from Brothers than it was from LMC and paying the shipping. So that's that. Parts are here, and I'm happy with the quality. Back to the seat a little bit. These seats, like I said, were you know, tough shape when we got them. Take the covers off from them, peel the foam out of them, because the foam's molded into the seat from the factory, injected molded. It was all intertwined into these coils or these springs. So take it all apart, and then we sandblasted it. We water blasted it with our water blast, you know, sandblaster setup, and just cleaned it up, and then POR'd it. And it had a couple of repairs to make. Driver's side panel. This is not the side, this is the passenger side, but the left side of the driver's side, where it, you know, takes all the abuse from sliding out of the truck, and vinyl split, foam had been soaked with water, and it rusted this piece out right here. So we wound up replacing that piece on the driver's side, just drilling the spot rivets out there, and remaking it. Was not very difficult at all, and spot welded it back together. So yep, POR'd back together, and POR'd to protect it, and then they've been sitting around obviously for quite some time because they're pretty dusty. But let's get to putting them together. Found out on the other side that it was easier with the mounts off from it. So we'll just go ahead and take this off, so we don't have to work around it. Oh yeah, here's the instructions from LMC for the seat covers, and yeah, kind of puny, but I don't know how else they would do it, because it, you know, every seat's different. But you know, the reality is, I was going to get my my upholstery guy that helps me with my other projects to do these for me. I was going to get the parts and just have him put the covers on, and he's missing in action for some reason. I can't get him on the phone, so gotta do it myself. The driver's side seat, we started with the bottom and then did the top, and that was a mistake, I think. So we're gonna start with the top. And now that I'm looking at this, the reason why I waited for those seat backs to come in, like I said, the cushions and the covers have been here for quite some time, but I didn't want to cover them until I figured out where these holes were for the where the holes needed to be for the plastic covers on the back. Now let me see if you, yep, right here, both seats, this hole was here for the seat back, the plastic seat back, and they use just a PK screw or a coarse, like a wood screw, and the sheet metal screw, I guess, is what it should be called. And this one went in this flange right here, but you can see on this side over here, it was off the flange and in the base part of it, which would then be sticking out pretty deeply into the foam. And it was the same on the bottom here. You can see this mess going on here where we put the riv nuts in, and they had their screw going in right here. So I wanted to make sure I had a good, one of the plastic covers and good anchor points. And for some reason, the original ones didn't have the two middle ones because there wasn't any holes in the middle. So anyways, we used this hole right here to start us off because we liked the placement on this one, and it looked like the plastic was centered up on the frame good. And then we used the other 5 holes we just dimpled it with the drill to see where they were going to go, pulled the cover off, and drilled the holes, upsized them, and then used some of these are BF Goodrich riv nuts. And you could use steel riv nuts or whatever's out there, but these are 1032 BF Goodrich riv nuts, aluminum. So that's the reason why I waited so long on the plastic parts to come in to get these holes right. All right, back to, let's see, we want to do the top first. Some of this I may do off camera because it's a lot of wrestling, and I don't know if I'll be able to keep it in frame while I'm wrestling it, but this is what I'm talking about how complicated this thing must be to mold, because there's all kinds of folds and creases, and I mean, part of the frame fits in this crease here. This fits in a groove in the frame. This stuff all kind of wraps around the post. Even this kind of tucks around, and the frame fits in here, and it snuggles right in. So what a complicated mold this must be. And they even put tops and the bottoms both come with the burlap already installed, and that's to keep the cushions from getting pushed into the springs. All right, let me figure out how I'm gonna frame this up so you guys can watch me wrestle this thing on here. But let me move the camera around. All right, this is probably not the best way to do it, but I don't know how else to keep it in frame. But just be careful with it. It did, the last one, the first one I did split a little bit in areas. Like we're seeing a little bit of splitting going on right here. So just do the best you can, I think, to get it all wedged in there. It is a tight fit, and has to be, but work it around. And as you can see, like I said, this is molded to fit right inside this groove right here. So that's it, except for the bottom here. All right, wiggle this in there. And some of this gets trimmed off. We found that it just needed to be trimmed to get the fabric to lay the way we wanted it to lay. So it's not gonna come right back around and rejoin. Let me see if I can push it down some more. All right, looks like I'm moving the camera around a lot. Makes it look like I'm taking a lot of stuff out, but I'm really not. I'm just trying to get you guys a good vantage point, but I'm not doing anything more than just kind of pushing down on the cushion, trying to get as much of this bottom piece to roll around as I can, and it comes together pretty good. So that's in position. Let me see if I can give you a little better shot of the back here. It feels like it's a little bit short. It actually feels like it's a little bit shorter than the other side was, because I think it did kind of butt up here better together than the other one did. Reality of it is we're going to wind up trimming part of this off, and we're going to wind up trimming part of this off as well, so we can get in here and hog ring these the vinyl to these holes right here. And the same down here, the vinyl is going to come around and we're going to hog ring to these holes here. So we're going to need to trim off some of this foam rubber. So let's drag the top out and start stretching it on. Looking at the old one, the old vinyl here, we can see that this listering wire, I hope I'm saying that right. Forgive me, upholstery guys, but it's the stiffening wire, I guess, that helps hold this thing in place is what it's all about, to be able to pull it into these grooves on the foam. And the old ones were made out of, some kind of mild steel. This one's kind of almost feels like it's grooved or threaded, or it's not really threaded. It's I don't know if you can tell that, but it's got some grooving on it. I decided that what I was going to use was stainless steel welding rod, because hey, I had it and it won't rust. So it's 3/32 stainless welding rod, and should last. And we've got to figure out how to put this wire in these pockets that they've sewed in for that listering wire. And it took two of these rods. I don't know how long these things are, 24 inches maybe, whatever they are. They're not quite long enough to do, one won't do it, so I had to do it in two pieces, and I just had to work it in and work it around this corner. And the fact that it's stainless and a little stiffer than the mild steel, that made it a little bit more difficult, but that's okay too. Now I did, to keep the ends from poking out, I just took some duckbill pliers. Let me show you. All right, just take some duckbills and I bent it over, and then would actually go over to the vise there and just kind of whap it a couple times with a hammer to get it even more flat. But it's to keep it from the sharp end of that wire from poking through. And they did the same thing, with their wires as well. So just repeating what they did. Whew. All right, so let's see. Yeah, how did I do that? I'm going to do the same. I'm going to bend this end over as well, but I want to fish this in about halfway, and then I'll trim it and bend it. All right, so there's kind of the easy part, and then got to start bending it, pushing it, bending it, pushing it. And of course, the first part you bent, you're gonna have to straighten back out a little bit, and then push it some more. All right, we want this one to go a little over halfway. Have a little overlap in there. All right. All right, now we can trim that. Let's see. Yeah, there's the center point. Gotta go a little more. Okay. Now Hey, you guys know about these things? These dikes. These are Crescent brand with a mechanical advantage here. When we first started this, the boy was home and said something to my boy about, hey, we need some dikes with some mechanical advantage. And I'll be darned if he didn't run off in his toolbox and come back with these things. And man, I am in love with these things. And when we get into the hog rings and cutting those hog rings, whew, man, I'm gonna show you just how easy they work. Snap. All right, now we're gonna pull that back out a wee bit. Okay. All right, up you go. All right, that's one side. Now I'm going to do the other side the exact same way. I'm going to shove it up in there and make sure it overlaps here a wee bit. And then we'll move on from there, but I won't bore you with that part of it. All right, that one's in. And as a note here, anywhere you see this gray material sewn on, you're going to be putting one of those wires in there to help you secure this seat cushion or this vinyl cover to the seat cushion or to the frame in some way. All right, let's see if we can get this cover on. Actually, we got a couple things to do before we do that. Trial and error on that first one, and I'm gonna try to use what I learned from that one into this one, and hopefully, my wife always says, the reason why you go the wrong way twice is because it's familiar to you. So I'm hoping not to do that. I'm hoping to use what I learned from the first one and show you guys how to do this the way it worked for me. We're gonna use this, which is lacing cord. This is an aviation product. They use it actually in fabric airplanes to rib stitch the wing, the fabric to the wing. They also use it for wiring, to tie wire bundles together. It's super strong. It's a nylon, I believe it's a nylon waxed thread. So you can buy this stuff, aviation supply houses, maybe just a quick Google, you'll find it, lacing cord. But you can also get, this is a wax thread from Hobby Lobby that I use with Speedy Stitch. It's over, I think, with the leather products, but it's a similar stuff. It seems to be really strong, and it's a wax thread. This to me feels a little bit more waxy, but it may be because of the age. I try to keep this one in a Ziploc bag to keep it from drying out, and this one I don't. This is what I'm going to use for the most part, but we're going to stitch this listing wire through the foam and stitch it to these springs. Now, like I said, on the first one, we started on the bottom, and see, I had to go look because I just told you wrong. On the bottom, we're going to stitch it to the springs. On the top, we stitched it to these holes here, which is the same holes that we're going to hold the edge of the fabric to. And I kind of like it better on the bottom here where we stitched it to the springs, because it'll all move as one unit, and you'll see that I think down the road. But for some reason, this groove right here lines up with those holes on the back side, and I don't know what was there originally. There wasn't enough of our seats that were still intact for us to tell what it was stitched to, whether it was stitched. I've seen people on the internet try to get, they'll try to hog ring it to something on the other side of this foam. But we tried that, and I just don't see how you can do it. There's 2 inches of foam between us, between this groove right here and where you'd have something to hog ring it to. And I don't know how you get that done. And it would be drawn in there so tight that I think it would look funny. So this is the way we did it. All right, we made a needle. I have needles like this, and they're out at the airport in my other toolbox, and I just didn't feel like going out and getting one, and so I just made one, and it's this stock. It's the 3/32 filler rod, stainless filler rod. I just heated one end up till it was red, took my hammer, flattened it out, let it cool off, drilled a hole in it, and then put the other end up against the sander and sharpened it. It doesn't have to be super sharp, but I made a needle for pulling this lacing cord through this foam and through the fabric, and that's what we're going to set up. We're really right now setting up to mark this foam so we can then use the marks on the foam to make the marks on our backside of our vinyl and start our lacing here on the bench before we start putting it together. It'll save you some time, it'll save you some effort. Like I said, it took a little bit of time to figure out this process. So the first thing we're going to do is I probably should trim this foam back. You'll see why we need to do it a little bit later. This this vinyl has to wrap around the seat and then get attached. So we'll put another listing wire in here, and then it'll get attached to these holes, and this foam is right in the way from doing that. I guess you could probably staple right on through it, but I didn't see any reason for doing that because there's a plastic cover that covers all this anyways, and I think it was neater looking when I finished with it than it would have been if we would have left this foam on here and tried to hog ring right through it. And while we're mentioning hog rings, well, I'll complain about them later and show you why I don't like. They just seem cheesy to me. But let's mark this out, cut this, then we'll start marking it for where the needle needs to come through. All right, so I really just kind of eyeballed it to be along where this edge is right here, or pretty close to it. I want to make, kind of open it up where our screws need to go in, and drew a mark on the top side and the bottom side there. And we found that this stuff cuts pretty easy with just a pair of scissors. A razor blade will work too, but it's a little bit sticky with the razor blade and tends to tear a little. So the scissors worked about the best. All right, that opens up where our holes are, and we're gonna need to trim this too. I think we did on the, boy, this one just, it feels a little shorter than the last one, than the first one, however you want to look at it. So maybe we'll leave that for a little while. So let's poke this needle through. So everywhere there's a hole here, this oval hole, we want to poke the needle through from the front side until it comes out this hole. And that's where we're going to bring our string through and tie it off to this hole right here, this part of the hole. One side of the string will come through here, the other side will come on the outside, and we'll be able to tie it off. That's going to hold, and we do that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times on this vertical spot, 5 on this vertical spot, and then 3 times across the top for that U-shaped listing wire that we have in there. That's going to hold the vinyl seat, the vinyl cover in place and kind of tuck it back in, tuck it up nice and tight, and make it look real good. So let's, I don't know how, I'll do one from the front side and then let you see one from the back side, but you can kind of, you know, I can anyways, kind of line my fingers up, find out where it's going to be. You know, you want to go real slow with this because you don't want to jab your finger. You can find the hole. There it is. The needle's not going through there all cattywampus. It's nice and straight, or fairly straight. Now we're going to take the Sharpie and we're going to mark the foam right there where that needle went through. I just draw all the way around it. You know, put it, so now it's just a black dot. Pull the needle back out. That's all we wanted to do. And let's see, can you see it? Focus. Yeah, there you go, black dot. All right, that's going to be important a little bit farther down the road. So let me swing you around here. All right, same deal. Kind of get an idea. I mean, some of these, the foam is kind of marked where they, this is one of the spots where it looks like they meant for it to be a, maybe some kind of wire that went through there. All right, I'm not gonna take you through every one of these holes, but I'm gonna do them all the way around. All right, you can see now we've poked the needle through there 13 times and used the Sharpie here to mark where we poked them through. And that's where our strings are going to go through. Our lacing cord's going to go through to tie it off on the back side. So now we've got to mark, we got to line this up with the foam and mark this so we know where to tie the lacing cord to this listing wire. So the cover we just kind of turn inside out and we push the listing wire right down in. Bottom's got a little bit extra length here to wrap underneath, so we've got to kind of push it out of the way and let it fit right down in that groove where it's going to go, and then just peel it back. You could probably measure this too, but once you get into the place, it kind of falls right in there, and then it's just a matter of peeling it back far enough where you can see where you marked it, and then just put a little Sharpie mark right there on the gray material that holds the listing wire, so you know where to put your lacing cord. All right, so all the way around like that. All right, I cut about, what is that, 2.5, 3 feet of a lacing cord and threaded it through my homemade needle there. And be generous with this, the length on this. Longer is better. Too short is a problem a little bit down the road. So, you know, that's a good length right there. So now we're just going to poke it through right where our marks are. I know this seems silly, but once we get it through, we're going to pull one side and pull it through like that, and then just pull it off to the side and go to the next one. We're going to pull all 13 of them through just like that. Zip, and then go on to the next one. All right, you got this figured out yet? You know what's going on? Boy, should, maybe. Maybe the smart thing is just to let the upholstery guy do it, huh? What fun would that be? All right, so now we need to pull those strings through the foam to the back. The way I did it last time was I stood it up and I started at the bottom here, threaded both ends of this thread, of this lacing cord, through my needle, like that. See, easy. And now this is where the mark also comes in handy. Now I can go back, I don't know if you're gonna be in the same hole or not. You're poking through soft foam, but you wanna poke in until you, to get the needle to come out the hole there on the other side. And then you're gonna pull the thread all the way through. And then on the back side, you're gonna pull one strand. Can you see what I'm doing? Yeah, I think you can. You're gonna pull one strand on one side of this hole and the other strand on the other side of the hole. And then you're gonna tie a knot in it way back here with the extra length. Now, why are you tying a knot in it? Well, you're tying a knot in it because you're gonna be working that vinyl cover around quite a bit, and you don't want to pull that string back out. And with a knot in there, you won't be able to pull that string back out. So we're going to do that all the way around through each one of these holes, and we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. Not that the strings are long enough where it shouldn't make any difference. On the first one I did, I didn't make the strings quite long enough because I didn't know what I was doing. I was figuring it out as I went along. And obviously, there's quite a gap here, right, between. All right, hard to show you, but there's a 90 degree here, so I have to start working this thing down this way to pull those strings in. This morning, when I was getting ready to come back out here, I watched another video on. There was a couple of guys doing a Ford seat for an old Mustang, and it's easy to find on YouTube. But they were using, it's a similar cover and cushion, and they were using their hog ring pliers, a different style of hog ring pliers than these, look like a little better quality. And they were hog ringing the wire to the structure behind it. I think they had another wire going down. I'm not sure exactly. They didn't really show the back side of it very well, but on the first seat, on the driver's side seat, Ben and I tried that, and it was a stretch. I mean, like I said earlier, there's about 1.5 inches of foam here. I measured it, and you're pushing this hog ring all the way, compressing that foam, and then trying to grab, I guess, these holes here. It puts everything under a lot of tension if you can get a hold of them, and it also pins down the center part of this vinyl, kind of the core, the center section of the vinyl early, and then you wind up having to kind of stretch these corners over the foam, compressing the foam and stretching the corners, and we wound up with a little bit of a tear in that vinyl, let's see, right here. So the beauty of doing it the way we're doing it now with the strings is it's easy to pull this vinyl to, you know, turn it right side, you know, right side in. Is that the way you say it? Turn it, undo it from inside out. Anyways, straighten it back out and then working it around the foam, and the center section is still nice and loose. So we'll snug that up here in a minute, but it gives us the opportunity. Now I'm gonna have to stand the seat up to really pull this thing down to where it needs to be, but it gives us the opportunity to work this in before we tighten up those strings. All right, kind of work the vinyl down to the bottom as much as we can. Need to tuck this bottom part under and start pulling it up on the back side. But before I do that, I'm gonna put this wire in the holder. Same wire, same technique. Just scooch it on in there, and we'll be able to use it to kind of pull it around them. I'm a man down today. The boys over in Athens at the Georgia game. So I'm going to have to try to struggle this out on my own. But, and it does get really tight. So the more of the vinyl you can kind of squeeze down to that end, the more you can stretch down there, the better off you are. We'll flip it on over, start working it from the back side. Remember, we were talking earlier about having to cut some of this foam off. This is where it gets in the way here. Starting to get close. We have to get it close enough where we can get a hog ring on it. I think I'm going to nibble off a little of that foam. Let's see. Boy, still a lot of foam in there. All right, maybe that's better. You can get involved in my struggle here. I got a good one there. Get the first one, and then the rest of them come a little bit easier, usually. Oh, hog rings suck. You gotta be kidding me. Whew. See, sometimes it's helpful to mark where the hole is. So when you get all pulled up there and under tension, you're not groping for it. Boy, that's a lot. Maybe it's a technique thing on the one before last, I was kind of this stop, which I'm not even sure I like, but anyways, I think it was the wrong angle. Maybe if I did 200 or 300 more of these seats, I'd get the knack or buy a better pair of hog ring pliers, but I'm not a huge fan of these hog rings. And it really seems like this vinyl is under a tremendous amount of strain. Get one more down here. All right, so there's 4 along there, and I think most people would call that good. I am not a firm believer in these hog rings. As you've seen, several of them have popped out. This one looks like it's, you know, it's not very secure. So since I'm not a firm believer in these, I'm going to do one more thing here. I'm going to go back to what I know, and that's safety wire and safety wire pliers, because I know this stuff works. So easy to pop through this fabric, and easy to poke in your finger too if you don't watch it. Safety wire on each one of these points. There's another hole right here, and I'll pick up some safety wire on that, so it'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots along the bottom that's holding this this bottom piece in. All right, all safetied up there. I left the hog rings in there. They aren't really doing a whole lot of anything, but they are there. It just safetied up. I'm sure that's not going to come loose now. Now that's the worst of it right there, as far as the tension and pulling it down and getting to it. So now we'll move our attention to the top here. Same deal, put a wire in here, and we're going to peel that down and attach it to the 3 holes up here at the top. All right, and the same here along the bottom or along the sides. We're going to put a wire in here, and we're going to pull that over and get it nice and tight, and hog ring it to the holes on the side here. I'll show you on this side, it's a little easier for you to see. So wire along the pocket here, and we're going to hog ring it to those holes, and then we're going to tension our strings up after that, after we get everything all pulled in nice and tight. So let's make 3 more of these listing wires. I'm gonna say that's the way you say it, listing. Right, about that long. Use the old Mechanical Advantage crescent wrench dikes, which are awesome. Hey, by the way, that safety wire that I was using and will continue to use to back up these hog rings is 041. Again, pretty easy to find on the interweb. 0.041, so 41,000 safety wire. It's pretty stout stuff. It's kind of the top rung there for aviation safety wiring as far as the thickest we use. And these safety wire pliers are not really, they make a larger size, and they're better to work the 041 with the larger size pliers. Mine are out in my toolbox at the airport, so I'm making do with these. You can use a pair of vice grips or about anything, but you really kind of need locking pliers to do it very efficiently. Fits down in between our other pieces of foam, and just like so. See if I can get a couple of hog rings in that one. Oh yeah, remember these were very difficult because of the angle. But that looked like it worked pretty well. All right, that was easy. All right, now 2 more wires. All right, hog clips are in, and I safety wired, the top, the middle, and the bottom on the sides, and all along the bottom. I didn't safety anything on the top. The top doesn't seem to be under much tension, so you know, this all gets covered up with the plastic cover. So like so. Now we'll oh, the cat. We will tension these strings, this rib lacing. You can see it's good and straight on the front. There's a little bit of wrinkling right here, but we're gonna pull these in just a wee bit. I was looking online. That's what I got looking at this morning when I got sucked into that the cover change on the Mustang, looking to see how much of this was pulled in. And like I said, if you're using the hog rings to hold those listening wires in, I think they would be pulled way in. And I didn't much care for that look. I didn't like the tension that it was under, so I'm gonna pull these and just tension them up. Probably start down here at the bottom, work my way up, and just put some tension on. That's what I did on the left seat one. So let's do it on this one. Quick look. All right. Nice. Oh. All right, I like it. All right, there's a special knot that they use on this waxed up lacing cord, and I'm out of practice with it. I'm not gonna study up on it again or learn it again right now. So I've quadrupled knotted them, and now I come along with some super glue and just put a little dab of super glue on each one of the knots, and then trim these whiskers off about an inch long or so, and that seems to work pretty good. All right, Dunzo. Moving on to lower cushion, and it's really more of the same. This one should be easier.